Hi, Evgeny. It's so nice to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. We had a just long weekend in Canada, so all well and refreshed
Hmm,
after relaxing outdoors. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Good, good. Good to know that you're relaxing. That's so good. Okay, Evgeny, I am so excited to have you on the show for some reasons. Okay, the very first one, the fact that I believe that knowledge is the solution to what's problem. And the second one is I am so sure, okay, that there are some things that Evgeny knows, some things that you know, that some of my audience needs to hear this stuff directly from your mouth in order to experience transformation. I firmly believe that. And I also believe that even I myself will learn one or two things from your story, your insight, your experiences. So for that reason,
Also,
yeah, I am so sure. So for that reason, Evgeny, I want us to get started with your story, the challenges that you faced, and how you overcame them. And afterwards, I've got some beautiful questions for you, cybersecurity, etc. So let us get started.
sounds good. So by trade, I'm a very technical person. I've been in technology for probably last 30 years. I learned technology in school. I actually was in the Navy for 5 years, where I was also doing technology, networking. I finished the Navy in Israel. By this time, I already moved from USSR to Israel. So it was my first immigration. And I continued with technology, going deeper to cybersecurity. From a very early age, I had some difficulties to pronounce certain words and sentences, and I will always speak very fast as well. And it really impacted my teenager life as well, dating, starting talking to people, later on find job. But it was always in my mind that it's something I would like to improve. I went to cybersecurity and you realize in one point that technical knowledge is very important. But if you cannot translate the technical knowledge, doesn't matter which, if it's cybersecurity, mechanics, whatever it is, to business language or to common language or to explain to a manager, explain to your parents what actually you do, then it doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how much knowledge you have if you cannot take it out of your mind and put it in its simple terms, in its simple verbs, or maybe create analogies. Later on, I moved to Canada when I started to work. Or if you in US, you may watch Shark Tank. There's a dude named Robert Herjavec, the Croatian shark. I worked for Robert for 16 years. And I always saw how well Robert can communicate. It was very interesting. And as part of my work, I needed to step out of my comfort zone and not just do the work in technology, but later on to present, to explain what we did, to explain the challenges we had by doing our work. As a second time immigrant, I faced a challenge. My English wasn't perfect. So I started to use not just language. When I will present, I will always be very dedicated and very focused on what I'm doing. And I was actually very passionate about my work as well. So I'll put as much passion in it as I can to my words and to my feelings and how do actually I think about this topic. What I realize, and then later on reading books about it as well, is people will not always remember what you told them, but they will always remember how you made them feel. So if I do the work and I present in a way that are basically kind of mimicking and helping my language with my facial expression, with my hands, with my body language, it will help to my presentation. It will help to my story. So I started to add and learn more what else I can do to connect better to people. So the soft skills started to help me to my hard skills, my technical skills. And with time, I did more presentations. I did more public speaking. And for the last 5, 6 years, I found myself moving not fully away from technology, but I started to move more towards it's not just what you know, it's how you can actually translate it and tell people about this knowledge. So soft skills became very, very important. I actually tested the theory 3 years ago when we decided to take people in cybersecurity and people that like skiing and snowboarding and say, what if we do a conference where we take people in cyber and tech and people that like skiing and snowboarding? So we're already connecting two passions, put them together, give them some food, give them some drinks, and leave them alone. Guess what? We don't need to do anything else. They will find a way to connect. We kind of breach all the barriers. They can start talking about skiing and snowboarding and very quickly move to cyber. And it's inspired me to write a book about soft skills in technical sales, basically how to connect to people over Zooms, Teams, Google Meets, and many, many other things. So it's briefly about me.
Mm, beautiful, beautiful. Your story is very inspiring, and it's just a proof that if you put in the work, you're actually going to get that change that you desire. Many people get stuck in the fact that I can't do this stuff, so that means I can't do it. But when you speak now, you put in the work, and now you're even speaking English so fluently that no one will ever believe that there was a time you weren't really fluent in speaking it. So that's a great thing, and I am so happy to have you on the show once again. Okay, so
Thank you.
shall we get started with the questions?
Yes, I wanted to comment on one part before we move to
Okay.
questions. You mentioned about work and people don't believe in themselves.
Yeah.
I'm a very big believer of fake it until you make it.
Hmm.
Not everybody like the term, but what I believe too is it's okay to fake it a bit. It's okay to pretend you know a subject,
Hmm.
even so you don't know. But the idea is not to leave it faking it. The idea that you fake it for some time, but then you actually kind of reach yourself and you get to the point that you're no longer faking it. And then you fake the next goal, the next goal, the next goal.
Hmm.
So you're not faking all the time because you're constantly moving up the ladder and are
Hmm.
reaching new goals.
I got that. I got that. Beautiful. Thank you for saying that. Okay, so the very first question. Hmm. You mentioned cybersecurity. So let's say someone asks you, how can I become a cybersecurity? What would your response be?
It's a very common question. And because I've been doing cyber for 20 years and technology for longer than 30 years, it's a common question I get asked all the time. Unfortunately, many times people direct to cybersecurity that you need to become a hacker, a pen tester, somebody that breaks stuff. I believe that cybersecurity is so wide that you don't need to follow somebody lead. You need to understand what you like. What I tell people is there's more than 50 different professions in cybersecurity. We can review who they are, understand what people actually do, and I'm happy to explain to you what each potentially may mean to you. And then think, what do you like? Are you maybe moving from marketing? Are you maybe moving from something else? Do you like short tasks? Do you like long tasks? Are you very, very focus driven and you can spend a long time doing one task? You may be liking more talking to people. You may be liking more spending time with computers. So you need to find something that's going to be aligned to your personality. In the same way as I cannot tell you what to eat because I may like apples and you may don't like apples. So I cannot tell you apples is very good. You have to eat apples, because you don't like them. Same with cyber. The idea is not just to do what everybody else tell you, it's something that you're going to enjoy. It's a very, very wide topic. I'll give you an example. We have compliance. Compliance basically an idea is that there is certain framework or certain regulation that a company need to meet. For me, it's very hard. I don't like it, but I know we need to do it. Some people love it because it's very structural. You always know what need to be done. You have all the rules, but it's people are different. So people need to understand and learn and only then choose. Don't just go and find a training that tell you come here for 2 months and you become a guru. Doesn't work like that.
That was a great explanation. Thank you for that. Okay, so what is so fascinating about cybersecurity? Can you talk to us about that?
Definitely. Cybersecurity is moving so fast and it's changing so fast that literally what we did 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, not no longer relevant, but it's changed so much. So it's one of these fields that if you constantly like to learn, and by the way, if you don't like learning, don't go to cybersecurity because you will have to learn and you have to adapt. And there's so much innovation happening in the space. So for me, it's very interesting. I always can challenge my brain. I always can understand and learn new things. Sometimes it's too much. Right now, with ChatGPT and AI, I almost feel like I will need to retrain myself and learn so much because it's moving even faster than I expected. So it's something that's changing all the time. So why not to learn it?
Got that. Okay, still have some questions to go. So you mentioned that you worked with Robert. Oh, how do I pronounce the
Correct.
name? Yeah, yeah. So what are the lessons that you learned working with Robert?
How? Uh, there are several things. Adaptability, and it's also related to soft skills that you will adapt yourself to the other person you're speaking. This could be the way you dress, this could be the way you talk, to basically going on their level, understanding that don't need to talk a lot about yourself. You need to find ways that the other person, the customer, will talk about them. You are there for the customer. You're doing a service. You're not here to say how great you are. So there's a lot of things towards working with people. When we're talking about customers and sales. We're not talking about being buddies and friends. It's the different things. Business is very important. You have to actually make sure the company makes money. It doesn't matter how fancy is the company, how smart is the company. If the company doesn't make money, everybody will eventually suffer. So you need to make sure, understand that if you're building a business, you need to understand that you first need to take care the company, that it will bring money, you can actually have a company. So kind of balance the pleasure and the fun stuff to understand how you can make money. That working hard is totally fine, but you also need to learn how to smile and have fun as well.
I got that. I got that. Okay. Um, Let us talk about kids for a moment. So, what should we teach our kids when it comes to online safety? What are the things that parents should teach their kids concerning online safety?
There's a couple of things. I think number one is don't believe everything you see. Always have like a magnifying glass to understand why somebody trying to talk to you or what they're trying to do. And at the same time, don't click every button you see. If you don't sure, please ask and understand. And it's a bit of a balance because we shouldn't scare them. Like, if you're gonna do that, you're never gonna watch TV, or you're never gonna go on laptop, or you're gonna be grounded. It has to be balanced. We want to get to the point when the kids will come and ask, "Hey, dad, hey, mom, what is this? I'm not sure." Because if you're
Hmm.
gonna be putting a lot of walls, they will still do it without us seeing them. So better we're gonna have a very open conversation. I think, in my personal opinion, the worst part, if something happening to your child, like bullying online, for example, and you don't know about that because your child is afraid to tell you because they think you're gonna be angry. So you need to learn how to open this communication to your child to explain, hey, honey, I'm here for you. There are some mistakes we can do, but we want to understand it earlier than later. So this is important part. Of course, there's a part about what do you do online as well. Show them what picture you put, your picture you don't put. Explain between different networks. They're amazingly smart. They pick up stuff much faster than we are. As much as technology savvy I think I am, my kids come and teach me all the time new things in Spotify and YouTube that I'm not aware about. So there's a couple of things, the most important part is think before you click. and open communication with the parents.
Beautiful. Okay, the second to the last question. You mentioned on how cybersecurity has been changing and all. So, how can one stay up to date with cybersecurity?
My God. LinkedIn, YouTube. There are so many podcasts. I have two podcasts. Many of my friends have podcasts. There's
Yeah,
daily news. There's training. There's unlimited number of information that you can find. But I think to simplify stuff and not just go being vague is find a few podcasts that you like and you like the people that present. Like my podcast is very technical about architecture and design. If you just want to
mm,
stay up to date, there are several other podcasts that are relatively short. Even like there's a podcast that in 2, 3 minutes telling you what happened the other day. So you can just stay there and understand. Now, when something is pick your brain, you're like, oh, I actually like this topic a lot. And you can find podcasts and training to go deeper there and understand more. YouTube also has a lot of information.
beautiful. Thank you for that. Okay, so to bring this to an end, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those ones who would like to reach out to you, learn more about what you do, how can that be possible?
So one is feel free to reach to me on LinkedIn, Evgeniy Kharam. Not too many Evgenys there, so feel free to do there. To be curious, learn a lot. It's okay to challenge the status quo. It's okay to ask why. I feel a lot in North America lately, people just listen and not, and if even if they don't know, they will just be quiet because nobody else asking why. I think it's totally fine to ask your teacher, to ask your trainer, to ask somebody else, like, why is that? Can you explain? Is Did you figure out this? Because in the end of the day, we have this term best practices in many other things. But these best practices are done by human being, same as ours. So they may make mistake as well. Totally fine to ask why, understand, and maybe you will find a different way to do it. Maybe you'll find a better way to do it, and you write your own best practices. This is how science done. We challenge and we don't believe everything, and we come up with something new.
So thank you
And
so very much. Okay,
I did want to
go
say
on.
that I am coming with the book August 1st. So if people can go to softskillstech.ca or .com, I can give you maybe in chat here. I will be very happy if people learn to understand how they can better communicate and connect to other people.
Beautiful. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I just can't wait for us to have this again and again and again. Would that be possible?
Sounds good. Sounds good to me. Maybe one day
Yeah,
face to face as well.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so that's gonna be the end of the show. Thank you for coming and thank you for honoring the invite. It means a whole lot. Thank you.
Thank you and for hosting me here. You're an amazing host.